What's up, guys? Welcome to the first ever episode 42 of the Kind of Funny Gamescast. I'm Tim Gettys, as always, joined by one of the coolest dudes in video games, Colin Moriarty.
It's an overwhelming way of describing
it. Is,
but
it's
I'll never
accurate.
get used to it. I appreciate that, though.
Yeah, the other half, Greg Miller, off. Doing some
in
crazy
Nashville.
stuff. Not really sure.
Randomly, yeah.
But we replaced him with something way better. Way better. We got Aaron Greenberg, who is the head of first and third party game marketing for Xbox. That's a lot of things.
It is a lot of
things. A lot of games and a lot of things.
So this is going to be a very special Xbox-centered episode.
I'm excited
of the
about
Kind of Funny
it.
Gamescast.
I'm excited about it.
You know, because usually people know us as Nintendo and PlayStation fanboys. So
Right.
I'm excited that we're going to, you know, kind of delve deep into the other side.
Yeah, and we have questions, as I've said many times, is even when we talked at E3, everything looks so promising this year and next year for Xbox. There's a lot of good games coming out. Seems like the schedule of first and second party games is nice and spread out, so you're covering a lot of territory and stuff like that. So we have a lot of good questions, and also questions from the audience, which I'm going to.
We have many questions from the audience,
Awesome.
so this is going to be good. How you doing?
I'm doing well. It's a crazy time of the year for us, but good to get down here and spend some time with you guys. And definitely a fan of the show. And
Thank you.
Awesome.
I feel like I've stepped into a little bit of like the Sony. You know, I've got Shu behind me, Resistance, and so.
You're in
by
the
way,
shrine.
huge fan of his. So I got, I got to
yeah.
host him at E3 this year when they came through and see our stuff, and just a first class guy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Very awesome. For those that don't know, this is the Kind of Funny Gamescast. Every week we talk about our passion about video games, distributed over at youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, Monday through Thursday, topic by topic, full episode on Friday, and on all of the iTunes and all the different podcast services. Please go there, rate, comment, subscribe, do all that type of stuff. And then if you want this episode early, you can go to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. Throw a couple dollars that way. You can get the audio early, the video early, a whole bunch of other
I didn't know that.
fancy things. Oh yeah. There's a whole
$2 I get it early.
We have
the audio is $5. The
Okay.
video is $10 for a month. You get the
Got
whole
it.
month of it.
Okay.
So this episode will be going live tomorrow morning,
Got it.
aka tonight, really late.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
this is gonna be
we have
pretty-
great support from our viewers and
exciting.
listeners, so we appreciate you.
That's awesome.
very
That's
much
great.
so. So getting right into it. Topic number 1 is the holiday lineup for Xbox.
Yes.
You obviously are familiar, as your shirt kind of says. Tell us about it.
It's been an incredible lineup to be part of. I think it's, many years in the making. A lot of our big AAA games spend multiple years in development. And so a lot of seeds that were planted, frankly, are big investments we made more closely timed to when we launched the Xbox One. And we started to look at what are the type of games we want to have 1 year, 2 years from now. And to be able to have a year with, we did Rare Replay to kind of kick off our holiday. Then we followed that up with Gears of War Ultimate Edition. Then we followed that up with Forza Motorsport 6. And then now, of course, next week is Halo 5. And so, and then after that is Call of Duty and Tomb Raider and Fallout 4 and Battlefront. So there's like no shortage of games. As a gamer, hopefully you've saved up all your money because there's a lot of great games. We're obviously, I think we have our strongest exclusive lineup we've had, which we're really excited about. But there's just a lot of great games, not only on our platform, but even from our third-party partners.
I want to, before we even get into the games that are coming up, I want to start with, you mentioned Rare Replay, and we did an entire week, I think, of Let's Plays for this. And what I was really interested in is not only the heritage of that studio, but also the thought. This is what we were impressed with, I think, the most. The thought and the energy that was put into this. This wasn't. What was so impressive about Rare Replay to me was not that we get to play these games again, but that there's a lot of production value here. There's a lot of thought in the achievements and presentation and replay value.
Huh? It's rare how much replay value there was.
Unintentional, but pertinent. So I'm curious, how was it received by gamers? Did it do well? And are you kind of looking at other catalogs that you might have in your control that to do something? I know you can't do something maybe as thorough as Rare Replay, but does this kind of give you thought that maybe it's time to re-release some old games as well?
Well, I was actually just out at Rare last week, and I was there when they first pitched us the idea a little over a year ago. And we said, hey, next year is our 30th anniversary. We have this vault of games, and we think we can get them up and running on Xbox One. And they actually had to go back into their sheds, because they're on kind of like a big farm property. And we went through the stack of like these laminated cards that were basically like the front and back of box of every game they've made. And it was hard to pick 30 because they've made so many great games over the years. But I'm really proud of what the team did. It was very much a passion project for them, and it really kind of, I think, celebrating what they've created over the years. And they did it in a very lovingly way. And I think a lot of the video unlocks and a lot of the different things they did with special challenges. It was not just a compilation where they outsourced to some company that's like, oh, we'll just put a bunch of things together and sell it as a 30 game pack. They created it themselves as something special for the anniversary of Rare. So it did really well. It's ahead of our forecast. We actually, even the first week at retail, we were sold out. So we had to restock. We usually don't, it's not usually a problem you have where games are stocked out at retail anymore. It used to be that way. So that kind of surprised us, and it's doing really well, both in physical and digital. So we're excited. I think, we've got it in one of our holiday bundles now, and we'll be doing some other promotional things with the title throughout the year. And then, but as far as other compilations, I would say this was pretty unique. So we're not now going to go run off and, create 6 other things. This was something special for Rare. And I think it'll be a product that, frankly, I think will do really well long-term as kind of an evergreen product. And secondarily, it's a product like for me as a gamer, like I want to have it. And it's not something where it's like I play it and trade it back in or whatever. It's like, you're just going to want to keep it.
That's part of your museum. You know what I mean? Like you want to have that as part of the collection.
Yeah.
What about something like Gears? Like how's the reception of that been?
Gears did really well too. So we were really lucky, our first 2 titles in what we're calling the greatest games lineup in Xbox history.
Good thing to call something.
Yeah. Now we named that ourselves, so we might be fans, it's like looking in the mirror and saying, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, gosh darn it, people like me. But it did really well. Both titles reviewed well. Gears had the same issue. It sold out in the first week at retail, selling well a bit ahead of plan, which is just great to see, Gears Nation kind of, wake up. And I think what we did with the backward compatibility collection add-on, we kind of surprised fans with that at the end. So knowing that buys or plays the game through this holiday, we'll get all the Xbox 360 Gears games as part of that via back compat. And that really kind of sets up what is really the big title for next year, which is Gears of War 4.
Which we're excited about. I can't wait. Gears of War 4 looks so cool when we saw it at E3. And just the presentation was exciting, and that will certainly get me to go and play. I'm stoked about that game and that series living again and having kind of a different dynamic with a different studio and a different kind of take on it all. I'm curious, since we're recording this now, a lot of people won't hear this until the week Halo 5 comes out, and obviously this is the big one, right? Yeah. I mean, this is your big game. What has the buzz been for Halo 5? It's something that I remarked. We had worked at IGN forever, and I remember there being this massive crescendo of excitement in the months leading up to 3 and 4, and it felt a little lighter this time around, but a lot of our Xbox fans out there have told me that I'm just not paying attention to the right places. So what are you seeing for the excitement with Halo 5, and I mean, how stoked are you kind of just to finally get this out into the wild? Well,
first, we're really excited. The game is delivering. I don't know if you guys have played much yet, but I played through the whole campaign. I think it is, for 343, what they'll tell you is this is the Halo game they've always wanted to make. It's on a whole new engine. And they really did a lot of innovation with this title that I think is well beyond what they've done in the past. And so I personally, it is the best Halo game I've ever played. At least I played through campaign, and I think fans will react really well to it. And I think the innovation with multiplayer is there too with Warzone. From a campaign standpoint, we started in the spring early, and we did the media spots with Lock and Chief to kind of set up the whole Hunt the Truth. And then we did the whole podcast series. This podcast thing, by the way, seems to be taking off.
I know, people seem to like these things.
They were alive and they kind of died. Now they're back again. So, and that did really well. And then, it's been kind of a dream game to market because, we have 2 heroes and there's a really rich story. And I think Halo feels like perhaps maybe the most anticipated game of the year because it's not a title that comes every year. You sort of wait. It's been a few years since Halo 4 and 3 years. And so I think, when you start playing, at least for me, it just reminded me what makes it so special. And, you're in that sci-fi setting and the rich story, and to be able to play as Locke and Chief and new weapons and all, the verticality of the design and some of the modernization of things you can do like ground pound and other things like that. I think just made the game really fun. And so for us, we did a lot of things I think that were a little bit different. And then We also did the whole UNSC propaganda, chief is dead message, which would sort of be like when the government comes out and tells you something, there was a bombing in some country. You're kind of like, I don't know if that's a real story or not, but it's what they're telling us. And then the second ad that came out was the official story is that chief is dead. The unofficial story is Locke, you're on a mission to hunt him down. And so that really sets up and drops people off. It's sort of what is the narrative of the game. And so we wanted to kind of build that naturally through the campaign. We're seeing record engagement as far as we look at conversations, views, all the types of things around the creative. And so we've been really happy with the response. And then the other thing we're doing is, we'll have a lot of retailers that will do events and stuff like that, but so many people will buy, whether they buy at retail the LCE offering or the Halo console, or they digitally download, they're going to already have the game pre-installed and ready to go. So we wanted to kind of create an unusual launch event. So we're actually creating a launch event on the 26th. We're doing it on YouTube. We're actually partnering with YouTube with this, and it's called Halo 5 Live. It'll run from 3 to 9 p.m. Pacific time on the 26th, and it's going to be TV quality 6-hour show. Awesome. It'll be very much like a New Year's Eve kind of thing. We'll see Australia go first, and then Europe, and then North America, and there'll be celebrity stuff, and there'll be a lot of folks from 343, some map reveals, weapons details. It'll be like an entertainment show, and we want to do is bring millions of Halo fans together around the world to celebrate launch in a way that we couldn't physically do at just standing outside a retail store.
Mm-hmm. Have you guys been working with Rooster Teeth at all?
We have.
Awesome.
Yes. Yep. They're going to be in the show as well.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. We're going to do some fun celebrity gameplay, and I think they're putting them on a small map with all rocket launchers and that kind of thing. And so they're going to do some fun stuff like that.
What about in terms of something like Red versus Blue? Obviously, to me, Red versus Blue has always been a huge deal to me, and that's kind of a big part of the Halo experience is seeing how they kind of take each game and kind of use it in unique ways. Do you guys work with them like with Halo 5? Have there been meetings or anything or discussions about that type of stuff? That's not so much gameplay specific, but more experience driven.
Yeah, I mean, we've always had a good relation with them. I don't personally engage with them directly. It's other folks on the team, and then I know they have good relationships with the folks at 343. And so I think the spirit of what they do is it's true to Halo. It's really entertaining. And so we want to celebrate that type of stuff. And so I know there was a lot of integration. I don't know the specifics of how much they were brought in early, but they're definitely a partner, and we're going to have them featured in the show for launch for sure.
That's cool.
With Halo 5, one of the questions we had brought up in the past, and people have brought up in our community, and we've certainly talked about, is there 100% confidence in with the experience with Master Chief Collection not working right at launch? Are you guys confident that those problems have been, they've learned that, whatever they needed to learn to make Halo 5 run? Are you guys worried about getting slammed the first week with players and suffering similar problems? And by the way, this is not exclusive to Microsoft. This happened to Sony with Drive Club and a bunch of other studios as well. So I mean, how are you guys feeling about that particular aspect?
Yeah, it's super important to us. I think a few things that we've done, obviously we did the Halo 5 beta last holiday, which went really well. We've done a lot of things. The engine and the infrastructure that Halo 5 built on is an all new engine, all new infrastructure, and you can imagine that was already built and designed in a way that Master Chief Collection wasn't. And of course, after the issues of Master Chief Collection, the team has done a lot extra checking and testing, and so the team feels like it's a product they're confident they can stand behind. And I think people will have a great experience. It's a lot of innovation. I mean, you leveraging Azure in the cloud, the kind of jump in, jump out co-op, instantly being able to jump in and play co-op with a friend and leave. Not many games are really doing that. People call it drop it, but it's literally drop in, drop out co-op, which I think will be great. You want to drop in for 5 minutes, play with your buddies, and drop out. Switches right back to AI. The tech behind that I think is pretty innovative. But the team feels good about the product and expected reliability.
So then we move into November, and November is, for me, a big one because of Fallout, obviously. But you guys also have Rise of the Tomb Raider coming out November 10th.
Yeah.
How are you? You're the marketing guy, so it's how do you? This is something that's actually been quite puzzling to me. Was there ever any thought of moving Tomb Raider out of the way? Because Fallout 4 to me is going to cannibalize everything. Are you guys worried about it cannibalizing your own exclusive game on that same day, or is it more important to kind of stay the course, and these might be for two different audiences anyway. I mean, how is that all going to shake out on November 10th?
Sure. No, we worked closely with like a lot of our internal studios on like, the Halo launch date, for example, when that's happening. And we talked with Crystal on Tomb Raider. The challenge is you have to look at the production schedule. You want to make sure that you don't rush the game so that it's not done and not at high quality. Like that's always the number one priority. The challenge with Tomb Raider is if you go a week later, you're against Battlefront. You go a week earlier, you're against Call of Duty. You go 2 weeks earlier, you're against Halo. So, and then you go late and you're like, well, do consumers still have money left to buy the game?
Right, that's a good point.
So there wasn't a better scenario for us, except that was the week that it wasn't going head to head against Call of Duty or Star Wars. We felt like the Fallout audience and game, while both fantastic games, they're not direct competitors per se, but you're right. It's two big titles launching at the same time, and we hope people will buy both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. I had not, that's a really great and interesting explanation because I had not thought about pivoting out of the way. Even 1 or 2 weeks actually just makes it even worse for the game. That's actually,
it's crazy. Like there's just so many games coming out for all the systems and stuff, but even just Xbox specifically, all those games.
Totally.
If you're an Xbox owner and gamer, like, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah, that's
and most teams do. I mean, first party, we know what our dates are, but most teams pick their date not knowing what else is going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then once it's like, well, would you rather launch against Call of Duty, Star Wars, or Fallout? I don't think there's a better.
Yeah, that's the ultimate like Hobson's choice.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah. So you just got to launch and stick with your date and feel confident that the game will stand up, and we believe it will. It's a fantastic title.
Yeah. I mean, we got to play it a little bit at an event a couple weeks ago, and like it's fun, man. It's definitely it's awesome. I think it's so far better than the first one, and I really enjoyed the first one, so I'm excited for it. And you're right. I think it is a different enough game that the real big problem is the money and people having enough money to enjoy both, but it's not that they don't want both.
Right.
So I think that's the thing. And, we'll see. It should be interesting.